Hello BookTube, welcome to Lizzie Faye Loves Books. I'm Elizabeth, and I almost forgot to do my monthly recommendations for April. Today's April 30th, and I thought about it yesterday that I had not gotten this video done, and I had to sub a half a day at a high school, but there was a library not too far from there that happened to have the 3 books that I did not have on my shelf that I wanted to recommend to you. So here goes. Monthly Recommendations is a Goodreads group that is hosted by Trina from Between Chapters and Kayla Rayne, and of course I will link their channels down below. The theme this month is survival stories. Now, there's a lot of different ways you could look at survival, so I wanted to just give honorable mention to some of the books that I have enjoyed that kind of have a broader look on surviving. So I'm just going to skim by these really quick. Sold by Patricia McCormick, about a girl being sold into sex slavery. Counting by Sevens by Holly Goldberg Sloan. This is about a young girl who has lost yet a second set of parents due to a tragedy and is now picking up the pieces and deciding where to go from here. Crispin, The Cross of Lead by Avi. I have only read this first book in the series, and it's wonderful. It's a Newbery winner, and it is about a boy back in medieval times who is being pursued. His life is in danger because he is the illegitimate son of a lord, and the lord is about to die, so his life is in severe danger, and he is on the run because whoever is in line for the inheritance after him wants that inheritance and does not want Crispin to receive it. Holes by Louis Sachar. This is a fabulous book. Now, I know a lot of people say, oh, I've seen that movie, but seriously, if you haven't read this book, you really should read it. There's so much of the story that you just don't get from the movie. And how this plays into survival, where the 2 boys are out in the desert and just trying to make it to a certain point without food or water, and it's just really good. One of my favorite childhood books, Mrs. Frisbee and the Rats of Nim by Robert C. O'Brien. She can't move to her summer home because her son is sick, and if she does not get some help, she will then her home will be covered over by the plow. Her and her children will all die. So she is trying to survive that ordeal. And then the first book in the Shadow Children series, Among the Hidden. This is by Margaret Peterson Haddix. I have read the first 2 of these books, and I'm going to be reading the 3rd one for Ribsat. But I wanted to mention this one because this is a futuristic dystopian world where it is illegal to have 3 children. And our main character, Luke, is a 3rd child who has to live in hiding. And his life would be in grave danger if anyone found out that he is a 3rd child. Those are kind of my honorable mentions. I've got 5 books that I really want to focus on for this video that are true survival stories. It is one person against the elements. Whether it's the jungle, the Arctic, or the sea, these are real survival stories. Probably the oldest one in this group is Julie of the Wolves by Jean Craighead George. This is a Newbery winner, I think from 1973. This is about a girl, Julie, who has to survive the Alaskan wilderness because it is no longer safe for her to live at home. So she chooses to leave and try to survive on her own in the wilderness. And she befriends some wolves, and it's just really a wonderful story. It's been a while since I read it, so I don't remember a lot of the details, but I remember that it's very good. Now, another book I remember a lot about is Hatchet by Gary Paulson. After I had read this the first time, I mentioned this to a friend of mine at work who has read almost all of the Newbery winners. Hatchet was a Newbery Honor book. It didn't actually win the Newbery Medal. But my friend said, oh yeah, I've read that. It's really kind of just like a male version of Julie and the Wolves. So that's when I went and read Julie and the Wolves. But this book is fantastic. When I am subbing for middle school classes and I have an opportunity to recommend a book to them, this is the book I recommend. If you have not read it, it is fabulous. And there are sequel books to this. In fact, there is a sequel that goes on from this book, and then there's a sequel that is an alternate ending to this book. So it branches off in 2 different directions. All right, so when this book starts out, Brian Robeson, his mother and father have divorced recently, and he's going to stay the summer with his father, who lives in northern Canada, and he currently lives now with his mother in New York. So he boards a small plane. It's just him and the pilot, and the pilot is going to be taking him to his father. So somewhere along the way, when he's over the wilderness area, the pilot has a heart attack and dies. Thankfully, over the course of the flight, he had shown Brian a little bit about how to fly and how to steer the plane and things like that. Brian has to deal with the death of the pilot, get control of the plane, and then figure out how to land it. So he's been watching below, and he figures what he'll do is just fly until the plane runs out of gas, and then he'll glide into a lake. Well, there's been lake after lake after lake, and then about the time he goes on empty, there's no lake. Finally, he sees one off in the distance, and he just barely makes it, crashes into a lake, and there he is. It's just in the middle of the wilderness with there's nothing in sight. Well, how the book got its name is Brian's mother had given him a gift of a hatchet, which thankfully he attached to his belt before boarding the plane, because that's the only thing he had on him other than his clothes when he crashed the plane and was able to swim out and go to shore. So I won't tell you any more from there. It's a middle grade book, and it's just wonderful. Whatever age you are, you need to read this book. Now, another really great middle grade book is Jungle of Bones by Ben Mikaelsen. I read this last year. This is one of the Sunshine State Young Reader Award finalists for this school year, and the first half of the book was pretty slow, but once they hit the jungle, it was wonderful. It is about a troubled teen who has lost all respect for everyone, including himself, and now his mother has asked his uncle if he will please take him and just see if he can help him to grow up a little bit, and just basically kind of see what he can do to help him. I did a full review of this book on my channel, and I will link it down below, so I won't go into a lot of details right now, but it is a fabulous book. And then another middle grade book is Raft by S.A. Bodine. This one actually takes place in the water. A young girl who lives on Midway Island out from Hawaii. She's been visiting her older sister in Hawaii, and her family lives on Midway Island. And her parents are on a trip, so she decides to leave her sister's house early and gets on a cargo plane to get back to Midway Island, and the plane crashes somewhere between Hawaii and Midway Island. So she's able to get on a raft with another survivor, and it just goes from there. So I don't want to tell you anymore because I don't want to give spoilers, but it's very good. It's a very good survival story about surviving in the water. And then one that's not a middle grade book, but I won't say much about this because I know you have probably heard of it. You've seen the movie. Again, another survival story on the water, Life of Pi by Jan Martel. I first listened to this on audio several years even before there was ever going to be a movie, and I thought it was fabulous. It's so intense and just amazing, and I think the movie didn't even really do it justice. So if you haven't read the book, if you've only seen the movie, please go back and read the book. It's really, really amazing. So those are my recommendations. April is over today, but these are still good recommendations no matter what month it is, and soon I will have to start thinking about the May recommendations, which is going to be friendship stories. But for now, that's all for this video. I hope you're having a great day. Read a good book, and God bless you.